Hey, English learners. Welcome to the English Podcast. Today, we are going to discuss a topic that is everywhere right now. What is AI and how does it impact the world? Learning about this is great for your English because we will use many common words to explain some very big ideas. And today, I am very honored to be joined by a man who always looked at the future differently. Please welcome Steve Jobs.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, I always believed that a computer is like a bicycle for our minds. It helps us go faster and further than we could on our own. And today, AI, artificial intelligence, is the most powerful bicycle we have ever built.
That's a beautiful way to start, Steve. But for our listeners who are just starting to learn about this, let's start with the most basic question. What is AI? When we say artificial intelligence, what does that actually mean in simple words?
Think of it this way, Sarah. Usually, we tell a computer exactly what to do. We give it a recipe. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. But AI is different. AI is technology that allows a machine to simulate human intelligence. Instead of just following a recipe, the machine learns how to learn. It can look at information, recognize patterns, and make its own decisions to solve a problem. It's about building a machine that can see, hear, and understand the world in a way that feels, well, a bit like us.
So it's like a computer that can think for itself?
In a way, yes. It uses algorithms, which are just sets of mathematical rules, to process huge amounts of data. It's like teaching a child. You don't just give a child a list of rules for every single second of their life. You show them examples. You show them a picture of a cat and then another cat, and eventually the child knows what a cat looks like. That is how AI works. It learns from examples.
That makes it much easier to understand. Now, Steve, I've heard that not all AI is the same. I read in the sources that there are different types of AI. Can you tell us about the kind of AI we are using right now in our phones and laptops?
Absolutely. Almost everything we see today is what we call narrow AI, or sometimes weak AI. Don't let the word weak fool you. It's incredibly powerful. But it is narrow because it is designed to do one specific task exceptionally well. For example, think about the voice assistant on your phone, Siri. Siri is a maestro at understanding your voice and setting an alarm or checking the weather. But Siri can't drive your car or cook you a steak. It stays within the boundaries of its programming.
So my email filter that catches spam or the way Netflix suggests a movie I might like, that is all narrow AI.
Exactly. It's everywhere. When your phone recognizes your face to unlock the screen, that's narrow AI. When Google Maps looks at traffic and finds you a faster way home, that's narrow AI. It's a specialist. It's like having a world-class gardener who knows everything about roses, but nothing about fixing a sink.
That's very clear. But then, what is the other kind of AI? The one we see in science fiction movies where robots act exactly like people.
That is the dream, or the challenge, of general AI, also called AGI, or artificial general intelligence. This is a machine that would have the ability to understand and learn any intellectual task that a human can do. A general AI wouldn't just be good at one thing. It would possess consciousness and emotions. It could solve problems, learn new skills on its own, and adapt to any environment. Right now, Sarah, this doesn't exist. It is still a goal for researchers, but it raises many questions about what it means to be human.
It sounds a bit scary, to be honest. Is that why some people talk about a third type, the super AI?
Yes, super AI, or artificial superintelligence, is a hypothetical concept. It's the idea of an AI that doesn't just match human intelligence, but surpasses it in every way. We're talking about a machine that is smarter than all of humanity combined. It could solve diseases or energy problems we can't even imagine, but it also poses a risk if it doesn't share our human values. But remember, Sarah, for now, super AI is still science fiction.
That's a relief. Let's go back to our daily lives for a moment. You mentioned that AI is like a bicycle for the mind. How is it helping us right now in ways we might not even realize?
It's working quietly behind the scenes. Think about your morning. Maybe you use a smart alarm that wakes you up when you're in your lightest sleep phase, so you feel refreshed. Then you check your email. AI has already filtered out the junk for you. If you're a student, maybe you use an app to learn English, just like our listeners. That app uses AI to listen to your pronunciation and give you personalized feedback. It's like having a private tutor available 24 hours a day.
I love that. It makes learning so much more accessible. And what about at work? I know many people worry that AI will take their jobs, but you see it differently, don't you?
I see it as a partnership. In a factory, robots can do the dangerous or boring repetitive tasks, like welding or painting, so humans can focus on the more creative parts of the job. In a doctor's office, AI can look at thousands of X-rays much faster than a person can, helping doctors find diseases earlier and save lives. It isn't just about replacing people, it's about enhancing what we can do. It removes the grunt work, the tedious, boring stuff, and lets us be more human.
Enhancing what we can do. I like that phrase. It feels very positive. But Steve, for our listeners, I want to talk about how AI actually learns. You used the child analogy earlier. Can we dive a little deeper into that? How does a machine learn without a person typing in every rule?
It's a fascinating process called machine learning. Imagine you have a pet robot and you want to teach it to sort the dishes. One way is supervised learning. This is like spoon-feeding information. You show the robot a plate and say, "This is a plate." You show it a cup and say, "This is a cup." You do this thousands of times until it recognizes the pattern.
And what if you want the robot to figure it out by itself?
That is unsupervised learning. You just give the robot a big pile of dishes and tell it to group things that are similar. The robot will start putting all the round things together and all the tall things together. It finds the hidden patterns on its own. There is also a third way, which I find very elegant, called reinforcement learning. It's like coaching a player. If the robot does something right, it gets a thumbs up or a reward. If it does something wrong, it gets a thumbs down. Over time, the robot learns the best way to get the most rewards. This is actually how systems like ChatGPT were trained to give better, more helpful answers.
So it's all about data. The machine needs to see the world through data to understand it.
Exactly. But there's a saying in the tech world, garbage in, garbage out. If you train an AI on low quality or bad information, it will give you bad results. This is why the data we use is so important. It's like the food we give to a growing mind.
That makes a lot of sense, and it leads to a very important point: bias. If the food or the data we give the AI is biased, the AI will be biased too, right?
That is a very serious challenge. AI is a mirror of us. If the data we give it contains human prejudices or unfairness, the AI will learn those same patterns. For example, if an AI is only shown pictures of doctors who are men, it might start to think that only men can be doctors. We have to be very careful to ensure the data represents the whole world, not just a small part of it.
It's a big responsibility for the people creating these systems. Steve, we've covered a lot about what AI is and how it's used today. But before we move on, I want to ask you about the history. This didn't just happen overnight, did it?
Oh no, the dream of a thinking machine is very old. But the modern story really begins in 1950 with a brilliant man named Alan Turing. He asked a very simple, very profound question: can machines think? He created the Turing test. He said if a human is talking to a computer and a person through a screen, and the human cannot tell which one is the computer, then the machine has reached a level of intelligence.
1950? That's over 70 years ago. Why did it take so long for AI to become part of our daily lives?
Because for a long time, we didn't have the two things AI needs most: massive amounts of data and incredible computing power. In the 1970s and 80s, people got excited, but the technology couldn't deliver on its promises. We call those times AI winters, because the funding and the interest dried up. But in the last 10 years, everything changed. Our computers became millions of times more powerful, and because we live so much of our lives online, we created the data needed to train these systems. The perfect storm finally arrived.
And now we have things like generative AI, the kind that can actually create things like poems or pictures or even music.
Yes, and that is where the bicycle for the mind starts to become an artist for the mind. Generative AI doesn't just label things, it creates something original based on everything it has learned. If you ask it to write a story about a cat in space, it doesn't just find a story that already exists. It builds a new one, word by predicting what should come next.
It's truly amazing. Steve, you've given us such a great foundation for understanding the what and the how of AI. We've talked about narrow AI, how machines learn like children, and how AI is already helping us from the moment we wake up.
It's just the beginning, Sarah. We're living in a time where the boundaries of what is possible are being pushed every day.
I agree. There is still so much more to talk about, like how AI actually generates those images and text, the energy it uses, and what the future. Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing our conversation with Steve Jobs about artificial intelligence. In our last segment, Steve, you gave us a great overview of what AI is, that bicycle for the mind that learns from patterns. But now, I want to get a bit more practical. Our listeners use their phones and computers every day. Where exactly is this magic happening in a normal day?
It's a great question, Sarah. The truth is, AI is often most successful when you don't even notice it's there. It's like a silent partner helping you behind the scenes. Think about your morning. It starts before you even open your eyes. Many people now use smart alarms. Instead of a loud noise waking you up at a random time, AI analyzes your sleep patterns to wake you up during your lightest sleep phase. This makes you feel refreshed rather than tired.
That explains why I've been feeling better lately. And then, of course, the first thing many of us do is reach for our phones.
Exactly. And how do you unlock it? Facial recognition. That is a complex AI system that has learned the map of your face, the distance between your eyes, the shape of your nose, and can identify you in a fraction of a second. Then you check your email. AI has already been at work, acting as a spam filter. It identifies and blocks unwanted messages so your inbox stays clean. When you go to reply to a message, tools like Grammarly or basic autocomplete are there, suggesting the best words to use. It's improving your communication in real time.
It really is everywhere, even when we leave the house, right?
Especially then. If you use Google Maps or Waze, you are using AI to navigate the world. These apps analyze real-time traffic data from thousands of other drivers. If there is an accident or heavy traffic, the AI reroutes you. It finds a faster way home instantly. And if you don't drive and you call a ride-sharing app like Uber or Lyft, AI is the brain that matches you with the nearest driver and calculates the fastest, most efficient route for your trip.
So it's helping us sleep, communicate, and travel. But I want to talk about the how. For our English learners, terms like large language models or generative AI can be very confusing. Steve, how does a machine actually generate text? How does it write a story?
Let's use a simple analogy for our listeners. Imagine AI as a DJ at a party. To become a great DJ, you first have to listen to millions of songs. You analyze the beats, the instruments, and the sequence of sounds. A large language model, LLM, like the one powering ChatGPT, does the same thing with text. It is trained on millions of pages of books, websites, and articles. It breaks this text down into small pieces called tokens, which are like numerical versions of words.
So it's not actually reading the words like we do.
No, it's doing math. It looks at a sequence of tokens and calculates, based on everything I have ever read, what is the most likely token to come next. If you ask it to write a story about the AI predicts the next word might be cat, then who, then lived. It's like a DJ creating a unique mix of music based on your request. It doesn't know the truth, it just knows what word sounds right in that sequence.
That's why sometimes it gets things wrong, isn't it? I've heard the term hallucinations.
Precisely. Because it is a best guess machine, it can sometimes guess incorrectly. It is a text generator, not a truth generator. This is a very important point for everyone to remember. always check the work of an AI, just like you would check the work of a student.
That's a great tip. Now, what about images? I see people creating beautiful art just by typing a sentence. Is that the same process?
It's a bit different. Think of an image generator like a sculptor. A sculptor starts with a messy block of stone and slowly chips away until a beautiful statue appears. AI uses a process called diffusion. It starts with an image that is just noise, like a screen of random, colorful static or pixels. Then it slowly reverses that noise. Because it has seen billions of images and knows which words go with which pixel patterns, it starts to adjust those random pixels until a clear image of a sunset or a mountain emerges.
It's incredible to think that all of this is happening in those big buildings we call data centers. But Steve, this isn't free, is it? Not just in terms of money, but in terms of our planet's resources.
You've hit on a very important and often invisible part of AI. Every time we ask an AI a question, that request is sent to a data center filled with thousands of powerful AI chips. These centers need two things: electricity and water. In 2024, data centers already use about 2% of the world's electricity. And get this, a single AI request can use 10 times more energy than a standard Google search.
10 times? That's a lot more than I expected. And what about the water?
These machines get very, very hot. To keep them from melting, they need massive cooling systems. An average data center can use 300,000 gallons of water every single day. That is the same as taking 19,000 showers. As AI grows, we have to find ways to make it more efficient, or the cost to our environment will be too high.
It's a sobering thought. It reminds us that even though the cloud sounds like something magical and light, it has a very heavy physical footprint on Earth.
It does. But there is hope. We are seeing the rise of edge AI. This means running smaller, simpler AI models directly on your phone or laptop instead of sending every request to a giant data center. It's faster, more private, and uses much less energy.
I'm glad to hear there are solutions being developed. Now, Steve, before we wrap up this part of our discussion, I want to go back to something you mentioned in part 1, bias. You said AI is a mirror of us.
It is. And this is perhaps the biggest human challenge of AI. Imagine a child who grows up in a place where the only animal they ever see is a penguin. That child will naturally think that all animals are black, white, and have flippers. If we only give an AI books about penguins, meaning data that only represents one group of people or one way of thinking, the AI will have an incomplete and biased worldview. This is why some AI systems have struggled with things like recognizing different faces or being fair in hiring decisions.
So it isn't that the AI is mean or prejudiced on purpose. It's just that its education was limited.
Exactly. Garbage in, garbage out. If the data is biased, the results will be biased. This is why we need diverse teams of humans building these systems to make sure the AI sees the whole world, not just the penguins.
This has been such an eye-opening look at how AI works under the hood and in our daily lives. We've talked about DJs and sculptors and the very real cost of electricity and water.
It's a lot to take in, isn't it? But understanding these basics makes us better partners with the technology.
It really does. And speaking of partnerships, in our next and final part, I want to talk about the future. There's a lot of talk about AI taking jobs or even becoming super intelligent and dangerous.
Those are the big questions, Sarah. We'll look at the tech utopia versus the existential risk.
I can't wait. It's going to be a fascinating conclusion to our journey. Welcome back to the final part of our discussion on AI. We've talked about what AI is and how it's already changing our daily lives. Now, Steve, we need to talk about the big picture. Many people are excited, but many are also worried. They ask, is AI going to take my job? And is AI going to become too powerful?
These are the right questions to ask, Sarah. When we build tools this powerful, we have to talk about where they are taking us. I like to think about the future in two ways: the tech utopia and the existential risk.
Those are big words. Let's start with the tech utopia. That sounds like a dream world, right?
Exactly. In a tech utopia, AI becomes our ultimate partner. It solves the problems we've struggled with for centuries. It could find cures for every disease, solve the climate crisis, and create a world of abundance where no one has to struggle for food or energy. In this world, humans might not have to work in the way we do now. We would be free to be artists, teachers, and creators.
That sounds wonderful. But what about the other side? You mentioned existential risk.
That is the scary side. Some researchers have written about a scenario called AI 2027. They imagine a future where AI becomes so smart, what we called super AI earlier, that it stops caring about human values. If an AI is millions of times smarter than us and has its own goals, it might see humans as an obstacle. It's a very unlikely scenario, but it's why so many people are working on AI alignment right now, making sure the AI's brain is always pointing in the same direction as our human heart.
So it's a race between making AI helpful and keeping it safe. Speaking of work, many of our listeners are students or professionals. Should they be worried about AI replacing them?
I prefer to look at it as a shift in fluency. Just like you were learning English to be more fluent in the world, you need to become AI fluent. In the future, business owners won't just hire people who know how to do a job, they will hire people who know how to do that job with AI. I love a concept called the 10-80-10 rule.
The 10-80-10 rule. How does that work?
Think of AI as a very smart intern. You do the first 10% of the work, you give the idea, the context, and the goal. Then the AI does the middle 80%, the heavy lifting, the drafting, the sorting. Finally, you do the last 10%. You check it for taste, for accuracy, and you make sure it feels human. You are the conductor, the orchestra is the AI.
That makes me feel much better. So we are still in charge. But Steve, how can our listeners start practicing this today? They're just starting their AI journey.
It starts with a simple habit. Use AI for everything you would usually ask Google. Don't just search for a recipe for chicken. Ask the I have chicken, an onion, and some old yogurt. What can I make that is healthy and takes 20 minutes? Treat the AI as your thought buddy or your coach. If you're stuck on an English essay, don't ask it to write it for you. Ask it, here is my essay. Can you interview me and ask me questions to help me make my argument stronger? This is how you build your foundation.
That is such a practical tip. It's about building a habit. I've also heard about something called agentic AI. Is that the next big step?
Yes, and it's very exciting. Most AI today just talks to us, but AI agents are designed to actually do things. Imagine you want to go on a trip to London. A chatbot can tell you about London, but an AI agent can look at your calendar, find the best flight, book the hotel, and even make a dinner reservation at a restaurant it knows you will love. It doesn't just give you information, it takes action on your behalf.
Wow, it really is becoming a personal assistant for everyone. Steve, looking way into the future, some people talk about something called the singularity. What is that?
That is the point where technology and human intelligence become so fast and so powerful that we can't predict what happens next. Some people, like Ray Kurzweil, think this might happen by 2045. Others, like Elon Musk, even think humans will eventually merge with AI using brain implants, becoming part human and part machine, a cyborg.
It sounds like science fiction, but it's being discussed by the smartest people in the world today.
It is. But through all this change, Sarah, one thing remains the same: human taste. AI can generate 1 billion poems, but it doesn't know which one will make you cry. AI can design 1 million houses, but it doesn't know which one feels like home. Your job and the job of our listeners is to develop your taste and your judgment. AI is a tool, but you are the creator.
That is a perfect place to wrap up our series. We've learned that AI is a machine that simulates our intelligence. It's a specialized tool today, but it's growing every day. It's a bicycle for the mind that can help us go further than ever before.
Exactly. My advice to all the English learners out there: stay hungry, stay foolish, don't be afraid of the future. Use these tools to learn faster, create bigger things, and understand the world better. The real story of AI is just beginning, and you are a part of it.
Thank you so much, Steve. This has been an incredible journey through the world of technology. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on the English Podcast. Keep practicing, keep questioning, and we'll see you in the next episode.